Hi, and welcome to another episode of Your Future, Your Finances. I'm your host, Brian Kuhn. On this show, we interview experts from a variety of industries to learn about how their industry affects your world. And if you work in that field, how you can excel in your own career. Today, my first guest is Kait LeDonne, a branding and marketing consultant, one of my favorite topics to talk about. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start. Tell us a little about yourself and your firm.
Sure. So I am really a branding and social media consultant. I help corporations and individuals get really clear on their message and who they serve and their brand strategy. And then I use social media to amplify that in an exponential way.
So let's say somebody is watching who wants to start a business or is trying to grow their business. What are the first few things they should do?
The very first thing that you should do is figure out who you want to serve and get really, really clear on who your ideal clients will be. And I've talked to a lot of business owners, and there's a lot of assertions about what the dream is in business, and I think I've uncovered it. I think what it really feels like to be successful in business is getting to choose the people you work with and enjoying the people you work with and having clients that make you feel alive in what you do. And I don't think people take enough time to really get clear on what are not only the demographics, financial needs, market needs that constitute those people, it's what are their attitudes and what are their beliefs and what do they really need. So when you get really clear on who you're going to enjoy working with, who you're going to be excited to go in and help them and pick up the phone to provide them with, help or feedback, you get really clear on that, and then you ask them, where are gaps in the market? So when I started my firm, I had an idea that I really wanted to work with high-end consultants who wanted to massively elevate their brand. I sat down with a few of them, and it became quickly evident that the intersection of my strength and their needs were providing strategy, but not at the rate of $20,000 to $30,000 that they were getting from marketing agencies, and certainly not at the DIY approach they were taking with freelancers. And because I did that critical interviewing and realized there was market acceptance before I even invested money in starting my business, I really think that is the one reason why my company, only being in business for 2.5 years, has exploded and has already gone international. I really hit that niche and that need in a marketplace that was not filled. So that's always my first suggestion.
Fantastic. So then we have branding, which is a difficult thing to do. So what are some mistakes that people make when they're trying to brand themselves?
Branding is such a big word, and it's lofty. A lot of people may have different perceptions of what it means, and certainly the most common is branding is my logo and my colors and the way that I look. The companies that do an exceptional job at branding know that their brand really has nothing to do with themselves. It has everything to do with inciting or making their clients feel a certain emotion. And if you can get to the level where your brand is actually helping contribute to your client's identity or self-perception, you're going to do remarkably well. So to give a very common example, Apple does a fantastic job of this. Yes, their brand is clean and refined, and you could look at them and say, oh, that's Apple's brand. But what they really knew is if I could make our clients feel a certain way about themselves when they purchase Apple products, we're going to just blow past our competitors. And they do that. Think about how you feel about yourself when you buy an Apple product. So I'm in a creative space, and for me, there's really no other option besides purchasing an Apple product because I feel cutting edge and creative and trendy when I'm interacting with their brand, and I don't feel that way about myself when I'm interacting with other brands. So the biggest misconception is your brand is really about your clients and how you fit in with that and how you can help them build their own self-perception versus, oh, it's all about us and this is how wonderful we are, and just looking at it on an aesthetic level of colors and fonts.
And then you mentioned social media, so you have to exist as a business, right, on social media today.
Unavoidable, yeah.
So what do you do if you're trying to accomplish that?
This is my advice that I give a lot of clients, and I think why the clients I work with see such accelerated results. There is this tendency where I started a business, so now I need to start a business page, whether it's on LinkedIn or Facebook. You automatically go and set up the company page. The algorithms for social media do not favor company pages. They want to stifle those, so then you pay to get your rankings and organic reach up to reach personal people. Conversely, they love to amplify personal pages' reaches because they know if people are engaged in the platform and they're reaching a lot of people, they're going to come back. So you and I are really the products that Facebook sells to businesses like you and I own. So you can kind of, I don't want to say hack the system, but if you set up your personal page and do a lot of marketing through that, you're going to see amplified results versus a business page. And a lot of people may think, well, I sell widgets or products. How am I going to use my personal page? Think about all of the companies we love, the Teslas of the world, again, the Virgins of the world. I would assert that the reason we love them is because Richard Branson's personal brand on his personal pages is out there, and you get a certain perception of the company he runs because of that. Same thing with Elon Musk. His personal brand almost trumps Tesla's. So when you use that to your advantage in the way that social networks are structured, you're going to be able to paint authenticity, genuineness, people can sense it, and you're actually going to use their platforms to amplify your reach without having to pay as much as you would if you had a company page.
Yeah.
It's a little, I don't want to call it a backdoor, but really, I mean, it's a smart way to go about it. I did not create a company page for my business. I kept it sheerly to my personal page, and because of that, I constantly receive cold calls from California, Michigan, Toronto. So it's not in any way limiting to do it from your personal page. It's actually very savvy.
How about, let's say someone isn't necessarily comfortable with that, but good old-fashioned networking events, handshaking, that sort of thing?
You know, here's my thing on networking, and I realize that this is a very unpopular opinion, and I have it. I don't network anymore. I put the kibosh on networking events. I don't go to them. Instead, I started a Facebook Live show. And on average, I'm seeing around 1,000 to 2,000 views a month on a week, I should say, for the show, and then on a monthly basis in the thousands, and it's reaching far and wide. And what I really realized is when you go to networking events, you're establishing the three things that need to happen before somebody buys from you. So they need to know you, right? We all know that, like you, and trust you. Know, like, trust. So if you go to a networking event, the best case scenario is you have maybe 3 good conversations. Those inevitably turn into a coffee date or some kind of follow-up conversation. And then you keep nurturing and building the relationship until they have a need that you can fill, or they know somebody that has a need, and then they refer you to them because they trust you. You're talking about hours worth of time building those relationships. And I'm not saying they're not fruitful. It's certainly how I started my business, was a vast personal network from networking. But all I'm saying is you can amplify those results by doing stuff on social media that shows your personality and establishes know, like, and trust in a way faster way than spending hours building that relationship. So, my marketing show that I do, when I can take about a half an hour and reach 1,000 people and they get a sense of my personality, by the time they call me, they feel like they know me already and are more or less kind of like, well, where do I sign and what can you provide? That would have taken months to cultivate in an offline format. Yeah. So I'm not saying networking is not great. All I'm saying is if you really strategically think about your time as one person and how limited that can be, I challenge people to look at, okay, would this be worth my time versus really putting a platform out there that shows my personality.
Okay, so let's say you're doing some of these things, business is pretty good. You consult on businesses to sort of set it up so they still have a life while they're running the business. Is that right? Yeah,
sure. And again, it is what it is. I'll be very honest. When I started my business, I constantly felt like I was drowning in it. Having a business can really feel weighty and weigh you down. It can become all-consuming if you don't put in parameters that prevent it from doing as such. So identifying the clients you want to work with that will fill you up and make you excited is certainly one part. But the biggest thing I started doing this year that has provided such peace of mind is building out systems for myself. So I'm one person. I didn't do that because I was worried about somebody else messing it up. But I really found out when I set up guidelines and procedures to how I onboard clients, how I interact with clients, how I wind down engagements and sign them off, I was giving myself the rules to play within and setting those rules very clearly to my clients. So I wasn't demonstrating inconsistent behavior. I wasn't scratching my head every day, recreating the wheel. And eventually when it came to the point where I did need to hire help, and now I have 2 people that work with me, they're a great team, the system is already in place for them to just replicate it, so I don't feel the sense of disappointment of, nuts, I really need to be involved in it to make it run right. You put in the parameters, you refine them for yourself, and then you can hand them off to somebody. So systems. Yep. Even if you're one-person business, I promise you is one of the most liberating things you can do in your business, and you will feel balanced because of it.
Yep, absolutely. We have to take a break. We'll be back. We're speaking with Kait LeDonne, branding and marketing consultant. I'm your host, Brian Kuhn. If you have any questions for the show or would like to be considered for a guest appearance, email me at bkuhn@psgclarity. We'll be right back.